1959 brought new hopes of a turn for the better in the Cold War. It was a year of unprecedented travel, ceremonials, and consultations by the great power leaders. Vice-President Nixon's free-swinging kitchen debate with Premier Khrushchev at the United States Fair in Moscow set the stage in more ways than one for Mr. K's tour of America. For a whirlwind 2 weeks, Khrushchev and his moods dominated the news, leaving no doubt of his toughness and his faith in the future of communism. The Berlin crisis he had provoked faded when he and President Eisenhower paved the way for summit talks. Relations between the Soviet and the free world took on a more amiable tone after the meeting at Camp David. But the underlying realities were unchanged, notably the Soviet drive to match American technology. A successful moon rocket heralded Khrushchev's arrival in America, a scientific feat heavily capitalized on by red propaganda. It gave solid foundation to Khrushchev's boasts of Soviet achievement. In 1959, the world had its first glimpse of the far side of the moon, with the new lunar landmarks already labeled in Russian. The second red moonshot, an even greater achievement than the first, came a little over a month later. America took significant strides of its own into space. Two small explorers, Monkeys, Able, and Baker, shared the nose cone of a Jupiter rocket that carried them 300 miles up and out from the Earth's surface. They landed safe and sound, tiny pioneers who helped blaze a trail for the men who will follow. The spacemen of tomorrow, 7 astronauts of Project Mercury, experienced the eerie sensation of total weightlessness in special training flights, a preview of man's first space voyage. It was a momentous year for the New World, beginning with the rise to power of Fidel Castro in Cuba. Castro and his bearded troops were joyously acclaimed following his incredible victory over Batista. But through the months that followed, the leftist course of his social reforms roused new opposition. Discontent spread through the Caribbean, and Castro lashed out at critics with courts-martial at home and furious denunciation of United States policies. At year's end, Cuba remained a scene of unrest. After decades of dreaming and planning, the St. Lawrence Seaway became a reality. In gala ceremonies, Queen Elizabeth and President Eisenhower officially opened the 2,400-mile link between deep water and the heart of the continent. Following Alaska, a jubilant Hawaii became the 50th state of the Union. The islands made their mark on the news, electing the first senator of Oriental descent, and closing out their first year as a state with a blazing volcanic display. Romance and a fairy tale theme ran through the year. Prince Akihito of Japan married a commoner, Mishiko Shoda, whom he met and wooed on a tennis court. Later in the year, the scion of a multi-millionaire married a girl who was once a family maid. Stephen Rockefeller and Marie Rasmussen were wed in Norway with proud and happy parents looking on. And as the year closed, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi of Iran made 21-year-old Farah Diba, a commoner, his third wife, in hopes she would give him a son and heir to the thousands of years old throne. The year was marked by tragedy, one of the worst, the onslaught of Typhoon Vera upon Japan, with extensive destruction and a death toll of 5,000, the worst storm catastrophe in Japanese history. John Foster Dulles succumbed to cancer while carrying on arduous negotiations over Berlin. After a long and valiant struggle, his passing deeply stirred friends and foes alike throughout the world. Communist action gave the lie to talk of peaceful coexistence. India's Prime Minister Nehru gave refuge to the Dalai Lama, spiritual and temporal ruler of Tibet, together with thousands of his countrymen, after Red China had stamped out rebellion in the remote mountain land. making Tibet the Hungary of Asia. Nehru and India were further beset by Red Chinese claims to frontier territory, leading to armed clashes along the border. Laos, the strategic key to Southeast Asia's richest areas, was attacked by guerrilla forces from Communist Vietnam, a Chinese puppet state. Through the year, Communist China's growing mobilization and aggressiveness caused mounting concern. This was the background to President Eisenhower's historic 11-nation tour, from which he returned at year's end to a tremendous ovation in the nation's capital. A spectacular nighttime display greeted Ike. It was the fitting climax to a series of remarkable personal triumphs in Italy, Turkey, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Iran, Greece, Tunisia, France, Spain, and Morocco. The success of the President's unprecedented personal message of peace and goodwill made bright and hopeful the dawning of a new decade, the 1960s.